welcome back to TheSadFan, a special New Year's Eve episode. It'll air on New Year's Day, so bear with me for that.
That's big.
It is big because it's going to go out before the games start. So our predictions are going to be out there. We will either rule or we will be the fool. Much like Antonio Pierce. Let's talk about that. Let's get right into it. What makes me sad? Let's bring back this segment. All right. What makes me sad this week is Antonio Pierce and all that bluster and Aiden O'Connell. It seems to me that both of them forgot they're not competing for a job. Like, the team should not be behind these two. All right. It's over. It's been over. When you won last week, you decided, and Antonio Pierce stated, we're not in the business of losing. Yes, the Raiders are. For 24 years, the Raiders have been in nothing but the business of losing. Their fans root for loser teams, me included, all right? And they fall in love with shitty superstars, like wannabe superstars, would-be superstars, like an Aiden O'Connell. And I don't mean any offense to that. It's just the truth. He's not
and
ever
Henry
going
Rugg.
The newest headline from a Raiders beat reporter, Wesley, is that was weird, Wes. From a Raiders beat reporter is Aiden O'Connell's stats are comparative to CJ Stroud. And I was like, get that shit out of here. Don't ever write that column again. All right? You're a fool. Okay? Like, it doesn't matter what their stats are. You know who else's stats were amazing? Blake Bortles. You know when he got all those stats? The fourth quarter, because they was always down by 30 points. All right? Like, stop it. Like, let's be intelligent about how we utilize this and look past the shitty numbers, which we're going to talk about later as it pertains to the MVP race. But, Wes, do you agree with me that if your team is not in the business of losing, they should have lost for a better draft pick to get better?
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell your players that. You can't be like, hey, we're going to lose this game, because players don't want to lose. Players don't like losing. I mean, that's the competitive nature. But, I mean, you got to
call
lose.
a bad game.
You got to lose, yeah. Just call a shitty game.
Call a bad... And they do that well on their own. They do that well. The terrible calls. I think they ran the ball, like, right up the middle on, like, a 3rd and 8. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, and this is early in the season. I so often question, like, why would you do that? Why would that be where your mind goes? It's like when a team does a pitch or a toss play on a 4th and 1. Like, don't do that. That's dumb, because you're throwing the ball 4 yards behind the line to gain to go back up 5 yards. That's a stupid idea, and it never fools anyone.
It never works. I mean, it works maybe like 1 out of 20 times. I don't know why coaches still do it, just like a bubble screen.
And what's crazy is the Patriots, who found a quarterback, Drake May appears to be very good. If we go back through our ratings, both of us had Drake May at 4th, ahead of Penix. And Penix still looks good. They lost again, but Penix, he still looks good. Still no issue with Penix.
For first 2 games, I don't really have any complaints about him.
Yeah, I have so many complaints about the Raiders and the idiocy that occurs, but this plays us right into the coaching carousel. And in my head, Wes, I don't see a great rookie quarterback coming out this year. Not someone that's going to change your franchise.
No, I think the best that might be out there is Cam Ward right now. And I don't like, I could see him being like a starter, but I don't see him being like a Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame, or like All Pro. I don't know. I'm not impressed by any of the quarterbacks in this class. And I wouldn't be surprised that half of them are just absolute flops, especially Jalen Milroe, who is absolute shit. He played a horrible game against Michigan.
The ball he threw on 4th down.
I don't know why he's rated as a first rounder. Like, he looks like a shittier Caleb Williams.
The ball he threw on 4th and 8 in this game, where it just fluttered and it hit before even the line, and I'm just ugh. And I've been so critical of these running backs that play quarterback, and he is one of them. And you know who else is terrible that declared for the draft today? Carson Beck. He was an interception machine. If he had sat out all year, his draft stock would be better than what it is right now.
I mean, I think this is his best chance to get drafted, because this is a terrible quarterback class. And I think he's going to have a lot better chances of getting drafted this year than next year.
So let's look forward to next year. So there's two scenarios, Wes. You want to get a little kooky? Shall we get a little kooky?
That was really
like
weird.
Cookie.
Please don't do that.
Did you love it though? Did you like it? It was in your face. Really weird. It was in your face.
That kind of grossed me out. I got chills because it was.
It gave you chills.
Weird.
Were they multiplying?
Like chills, like the creeper chills.
So that's weird. Now I'm weirded out.
Dark chills.
The weird creeper weirds me out. It's like right up there with moist. Like it's just one of those words that just.
That's the feelings I got from you saying that.
From the voice. I'm sorry. I only want to give you good feelings. You know that. My whole
not good feelings.
Or to annoy you beyond repair. Like those are the two things I like to do to you. You like to do it right back to me. So let's get into this craziness, this kookiness. All right. Ben Johnson is obviously the hottest commodity. I would settle for. I would like Mike Vrabel, to tell you the truth, but I want Ben Johnson. I wanted Mike Vrabel last year, and we signed Antonio Pierce. It was stupid. It was a passion hire. It was like, oh my God, look at what he did. And I was like,
are we even sure they're going to fire Antonio Pierce?
Oh, they are going to fire Antonio Pierce. This is over. This is absolutely over.
It's the Raiders, though. Okay, you can't give them too much credit.
That's true. John Gruden set back the franchise 5 years. Josh McDaniels set him back another 5. So at this point, I'll be a decade older by the time they do anything. Like, that's my full anticipation. But if they get crazy, Sam Darnold's on a 1-year contract, and the Vikings have J.J. McCarthy, right? We discussed this last week.
Yeah.
So maybe they pay the money, bring in Ben Johnson, and sign Sam Darnold to a sweetheart deal. I don't think he's taking a sweetheart deal. I think Sam Darnold's getting paid after this year. I mean, you don't lose only 2 or 3 games, depending on what happens on Sunday, and we're going to get to that later, and not get paid.
Absolutely.
So
he's getting some money.
Yeah, you've got to get money. You've got to pay him, and we're going to get to another quarterback that has to get paid coming up here that I don't think you're going to agree with. But what do you think of that? What do you think about a franchise like the Raiders? My worry is the Giants, but I think the Giants are going to go for Shedeur Sanders. I think that's going to be what the Giants do. I think they try to pick up Shedeur Sanders.
So I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
But what you're not considering is that you're talking about the Raiders, and Ben Johnson is a sexy pick. I could see them going for him, but Sam Darnold is not a sexy pick. Mark Davis likes sexy. He likes fast. He's just like his dad. Okay? I don't see him. I see them trying for Shedeur Sanders, because that's a sexy pick. That's Deion's son. Okay?
Yeah. I would love to stick it to him.
No, they're gonna trade up and try to get Shedeur. That's what they're gonna do.
To stick it to America.
Go for the sensible. They're not gonna go for the sensible pick in Sam Darnold.
I do hate the Maras. I hate the Maras. I think they're the no fun police. They're the Maras are the driving force behind. Don't do celebrations. No hip thrusting. And I'm like over here. It's like you don't have to take all the fun out of the sport for the rest of us Maras. So I'd love to see that. I think the Giants are positioned too well. The Patriots don't need a quarterback. So if they draft a second quarterback, that would just be stupid. I think they're going to be open for business if they get this number 1 pick. I do. But why? I would not. If I was a team that needs a quarterback, I'm not trading to the first round pick. First overall pick. Because they don't need a quarterback. Drake May's great. They're going to draft Travis Hunter, right? Yeah. So I sit back. But
or McClellan.
If you sit back and you can't get a quarterback, I think you go for Ben Johnson and you go for Sam Darnold and you just do sign Sam to like a 3-year deal, like the Kirk Cousins Vikings deal a couple of years ago, 3 years, $80 million. Remember when he signed that deal? Sign him to something like that and then move forward. Now you've got a quarterback issue too. What are your guys going to do about it over in Seattle? What is going to happen there? Because Geno is serviceable, but he's only going to get you to 500 or just above
15
500.
interceptions is not serviceable. He has a lot of yards, and a lot of that is garbage time. But he is not serviceable. And most of those interceptions are in the red zone when we're like about to score a touchdown, and he either gets sacked or throws a pick in the end zone, like
and you're
or
over
fumbles.
It. And
I'm over it, and I'm just like, okay, cool, great. I love watching this team.
What's wild is you have 2 really good running backs in Charbonnet and Walker. You've got a really solid receiving core. Noah Fant is a serviceable tight end. Offensive line is not good. You've got a really good defensive coordinator as your head coach now. Is it just the quarterback that's holding you back?
I feel like we're just a few pieces. I mean, we need better O-line play. I feel like that's been the story ever since the Super Bowl, ever since 2014, is we just haven't had good O-line play.
And you tried with Dwayne Brown. Remember, you traded the Texans for Dwayne Brown to get that left tackle spot for Russell, and it still didn't work.
No, it didn't.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to get too far into this. You talked about this a lot last week. I want to get back to this coach. Let's talk about the Bears, because the Bears. The reason I'm not worried about the only team I'm worried about signing Johnson. The only team I'm worried about signing Johnson is the Giants right now, or maybe because the Jets are looking at, what would we say, Rex Ryan
and Ron Rivera.
Like, okay, bleh, get them out of here. Cool. And then the Bears are looking at Flores from Minnesota. And I think
the Raiders should just rewind it back with Josh McDaniels.
Stop it. Get that out of here.
Everyone should just sign old coaches.
Bears. Do you know who else they're looking at? Or not? They're not looking at this person, pardon me, but who threw their hat into the ring, who said, I would like to be a candidate for the Bears job.
No idea.
Pete Carroll. That's our link to Seattle.
I did hear that a week ago.
Pete Carroll.
That would be interesting.
Over there.
Maybe he'll bring his son with him.
He did good with a rookie quarterback. Yeah, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Was it it's less than 20 years ago?
It'd be interesting. I mean, but I just think Pete Carroll's getting old, and his philosophy is not with the times anymore.
I don't know. Like he put out a lot of coaches, though. Wasn't Dan Quinn one of his? Wasn't Dan Quinn
one of his? And
Gus Bradley.
Gus Bradley. Yeah,
he's put some good coaches out there.
He's
put good film on tape. His defense has never been bad. He's never had a bad defense. So I just don't I don't know what to think there. I don't think they're going to go with him. I think you're right. I think he's aged out. I think he'd be good going back into college football like Bill Belichick did. Bill Belichick. How's that going to go, by the way? We never talked about that, did we?
If they start winning and they're like in the playoffs, then yeah, I think he could keep that gravy train going.
Goodness gracious. It could be so terrible.
It really could. I could just see it be an absolute flop and set I don't even know. Because they're investing a lot of money in him and his philosophy.
You know what else could go terribly, Wes? If the 49ers pay Brock Purdy. Do you pay Brock Purdy? There's no one better. We've discussed it. There's no rookies in this class we're interested in.
Wait, is this Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
Slamming that I'm hearing? You were standing for Brock Purdy for the longest time.
Hold on. I didn't say anything. I asked you, do we pay Brock Purdy? And you and I have discussed there's no one here in this class. And guess who's already there? Purdy. What's the start? Oh, we are leaving someone out. Your favorite player is about to be a free agent. Does Shanahan go for Aaron Rodgers and let go of Brock Purdy?
Rodgers is done after this year. I think he retires. He does not look like he wants to play anymore.
I don't know. Do you think he goes to the Bay Area, Wes? Do they let go of Brock Purdy? I think you have to pay Brock Purdy. That's my honest stance on this. I think you have to. I don't think there's anyone better. You've already tried Sam Darnold.
So many other quarterbacks for him.
You've already tried Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was there last year. You've tried Jimmy Garoppolo. You got to pay Brock Purdy. There's no rookies in this class unless, interception-prone Carson Beck wants to play for you, or they draft like a Quinn Ewers in the 5th round. I think you pay him. I think you have to.
Yeah, but I think it's a matter of how much. Because I think Brock Purdy thinks he's worth more than he is.
But there's also his agent, Wes. There's also his agent. And they got to set the scale every time someone comes up. Because you know who gets pissed off if he doesn't raise the salary for quarterbacks? All the other quarterbacks that are great. See, people always get mad. People don't understand business, Wes.
He's used to. Purdy has looked worse and worse every year.
Jared Goff, I think, is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
Jared Goff is great. I never thought I would say that, but I've never seen a more even-sided trade that worked out so well for both teams and both players than the Jared Goff for Matt Stafford trade. Matt Stafford completely renewed his career in LA. He got a Super Bowl. Jared Goff looked mediocre as hell at the Rams, and now he looks amazing with the Lions. Like, it worked out so well for both teams. Like,
does that continue after Ben Johnson leaves? Does that continue after Ben Johnson leaves, though?
I think so, because you got Ben Campbell or Dan Campbell.
I was going to let you work through that. I was going to let you work through that one.
I think
I was going to let you just come up with 3-letter names until you got to it.
He's the persona of the team. He's the crazy guy who wants to do all these trick plays and stuff. And I think he's going to get an offensive coordinator that like matches his persona. And I think they're just going to keep rolling.
I think he loses both coordinators this year, by the way. I think Aaron Glenn gets a job too. I think he loses Ben Johnson. I think he loses Aaron Glenn. Just like Sirianni did the year that the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl.
I don't know, though. I don't know if the DC goes. I think just like with how well their defense, or like how poorly their defense has been playing recently because of all the injuries, I think that maybe he stays for another year.
I mean,
everyone thought Ben Johnson was gone last year.
When I'm saying people don't understand the business of sports, let me go back. No, Ben Johnson said pretty early on that he's not leaving. He's coming back because he thinks the team can win a Super Bowl. When I said people don't understand the business aspect of this, it's because they go, oh my God, I can't believe such and such is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. They're not even that good. When Derek Carr got it, Carson Wentz, the first time Jared Goff became the highest paid quarterback. They have to do this because it sets the scale. So when somebody that is better than them comes up, the ticket keeps going up. The price tag keeps going up. So the more that someone gets paid,
should only the price tag go up for somebody that actually deserves it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's not the way business works, okay? I keep telling you, you need to root for other people, Wes, if for any other reason but to be selfish, all right? You're a good engineer. I didn't want to say great because I don't want your ego to explode. You're a good engineer, Wes. You're a good engineer. Now, what you need is the people beneath you to start making more and more. Why? Because now you can go into their office and say, demonstrated by the value of my position and what I've done for your company, I deserve to be paid more than these people by at least 25%. That's how business works. So you want the people
as much money as the NFL.
You want the people that are worse at their job than you to get paid more. You want that to happen because that drives up your value. That is how the world of paying people works. So, yeah, I think Brock Purdy's going to get paid.
Class where when we're talking 6 figures versus 8 figures.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong. You might
enough money, okay?
Wes,
them. They're overpaid.
You might want to Google this, Wes. I think Kirk Cousins was the first one to set the guaranteed scale. I think he was the first quarterback to get guaranteed money out of Minnesota. The 3-year, $80 million contract, I think, was the first fully guaranteed contract in the NFL. So he started that with the guaranteed money. Okay? Now, let's get away from the money for a little while and let's stick to quarterbacks. There's 2 things that I want to talk about. We're going to start with the quarterbacks. We got the MVP race, and we've got Josh Allen against Lamar Jackson. And I have a caveat, but right now...
And Joe Burrow.
No, he's not in the race. But right now...
He's closer in the race than you think, especially if they make the playoffs. If he gets him into the playoffs, I think he might get it.
Wes, he's not in the race. You've got Lamar Jackson against Josh Allen right now for MVP. Who do you think out of those two has the most passing yards?
Lamar.
Who do you think has the most rushing yards?
It's Lamar.
Who do you think has the most passing touchdowns?
Lamar.
Who has less interceptions?
Lamar.
Who already has 2 MVPs?
Lamar.
Who sat out more fourth quarters?
Lamar.
No.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. And they're not factoring that in. Who's been in more one-score games?
Lamar.
Lamar, which requires you to play more, throw the ball more to catch up or to win the game.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
We're not, again, let's do our job and let's look past the numbers to what actually matters.
I agree. Lamar has the better stats, but I think Joe Burrow or Josh Allen is the better quarterback this year.
Your mind.
I think Josh Allen has been the better quarterback. His team's better. I think he's played better. I mean, the stats don't show it, but I mean, just watching games, I think Josh Allen's better.
Yeah, if we were doing this on Fun to Watch, equal. They've been equal this year. Both have been absolutely a blast to watch. All right? And yes, Wes, Joe Burrow's been fun to watch too. But also, Joe Burrow has the best 2 wide receivers in this group, and he might have the second best running back in this group in Brown. Brown showed up, and no one expected anything out of Brown, and he played phenomenally. He's one of the best pass-catching backs in the NFL now.
But their defense is absolutely nuts.
So Joe Burrow has had weapons, and you're right. But Lamar Jackson has Rashad Bateman, who's been good. Zay Flowers, who's been good. The best 2 tight ends in Likely and Andrews. And, they got this big old dog in the backfield, Derrick Henry, running like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm pulling for Josh Allen this year. I am. Now, Josh Allen's had the better offensive line here, but he's been so good this year that the team's been able to rest him.
I mean, I think Josh Allen gets it, but I mean, I'm still going to go on my train that I think Joe Burrow has a chance if he gets them into the playoffs. You can disagree with me all you want, but that's my stance, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay, I will allow you to say has a chance. He's not going to win, but chance is fine. Now, as we say that, if he gets them in, we're going to stay on if they put him in. If you are the Eagles, if you are Saquon Barkley, you've got your spot locked up. Do you have him go? He's actually 100 yards away from the all-time rushing record for a season.
Yes.
Do you play him? Do the Eagles play him?
If I was the coach, I'd say no.
Right? I'm in the same boat, and I feel so terrible about it. And I'm kind of like,
can't risk it. You can't risk him getting hurt before the playoffs.
Who do they play? Who do the Eagles play next week? We need to look this up.
It's the Giants.
They play the Giants. Maybe you go across the day ball and you go, hey,
fight.
Little handshake deal here. We're going to give the ball to Saquon on a sweep. Just let him go 60 yards. Let him do a couple carries for a couple 10 yards. Let him get the record. Like when Brett Favre fell down and gave the sack record away.
Here's the thing.
Mark Gastineau's still mad about it.
I could see them putting him in the first quarter. If he breaks some big runs and he's close, I could see them letting him get it. But if the Giants are stacking him up and he's only getting 3-4 yards per carry, I think they just pull him out.
Or if he takes one shot, Wes. If he takes one big shot, you're pulling Saquon out of that game.
Yeah.
He takes one big shot, gets up, Sirianni goes, you're done. Gainwell, get in there. You're done. But, man, 2,000 yards, what a season for Saquon. Saquon's been so great to watch. And you brought up something in the production meeting, the rookie race. The rookie of the year race in the NFL has been so fun to watch. And you're like, it always goes to a quarterback. And my response to you was, yeah, but we have an issue with that. We have to. Because it shouldn't go to a quarterback. It is rookie of the year, not rookie quarterback of the year. So if we're just going to, and you're the most important position, blah, blah, blah. I know. All right. But if we're going to do that, then we should have a rookie quarterback of the year, rookie running back. Just sell out completely. Why not do that?
That's a lot of awards. And this isn't college. Not everyone gets a participation trophy.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. But honestly, Brock Bowers broke 2 records on Sunday, to include Mike Ditka's receiving record for a tight end. He has the record for most receptions by a rookie receiver right now. Malik Neighbors, I think, is 7 receptions behind him. But I just said another rookie name that's been amazing this year, Malik Neighbors. And then Brian Thompson Jr. in Jacksonville, off the chain, also has a ton of touchdowns. All right, a ton of catches. He has been the lone bright spot for Jacksonville this year.
I mean, all 3 of those names you just mentioned were literally the only good players on their team.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. They really were the only
stand out when your team is,
and that's not true because Max Crosby's amazing on the Raiders, but you got one superstar on defense. When we talk about this, I think that it should be recognized. These players, they probably had at their position better seasons than Jaden Daniels did, right?
Probably. I mean, when you compare it to the rest of their competition, I guess. when you compare it into like the stats as like of their position as a whole.
All right. You're not intrigued. Let's get you back intrigued. The last thing that we want to talk about as it pertains to the NFL West, the Lions-Vikings. The Lions-Vikings, Week 18. Are you tuning in?
Who's not? Are you kidding me? This is like the most exciting game.
Had subtitles, man. Your face had subtitles. Which is that a serious question?
This is the most exciting regular season game in the history of the NFL. You got 28 wins coming into this, 2 14-2 teams,
and like, there's stakes. There's stakes.
Yeah, number one seed.
Yep.
You know what sucks? You know what sucks for the loser?
Division champion, number 1 seed, 2-loss season.
You know what sucks? The loser is going to go on the road to probably play either the Falcons or the Buccaneers as a 5 seed. Yeah, they're going to be a 5 seed playing on the road, probably against the Buccaneers or the Falcons, whoever wins that division. And then their reward for beating them on the road is to go on the road again to the team they just lost to in Week 18.
Yeah.
The number 1 seed. Yeah, so if Detroit wins, they're going to play the Vikings again in round 2. Or if the Vikings win, they're going to play the Lions again in round 2.
You know who else is following the bracket west? We're there. We finally made it. Like, we made the audience wait the whole show. So you know who else follows the bracket and doesn't recede?
College football playoffs.
So with the college football playoffs, we've got Penn State, Boise State, which Penn State is favored, but you know they're not the most heavily favored team. Do you know who is the most heavily favored team?
Texas.
Texas is coming in hot money right now.
I don't believe it for a second.
Man, you've been trashing Texas since last week.
Cam Scadaboo's going to run all over that ass.
You think, huh? You think he's going to have a better day than maybe Genty might against Penn State?
Yep.
That's a wild prediction, man. That is a wild prediction. So let's talk Penn State. You heard my opinion on Drew Aller. Does Boise stand a chance in this game? Because right now
No.
Penn State has the easiest path. And you're saying not at all?
I think they're going to shut Genty down.
And then it's going to become a passing
I don't think
game.
the Boise State O-line is going to hang. I think they're going to get pushed around all day.
Because they're too small for those biggins over in Penn State.
Yeah. They can't hold up to those corn-fed white boys from the Midwest.
See, I don't like Penn State. I'm like with Penn State how you are with Texas. I just don't like Penn State. I don't think they're good. I think they have talent. I just don't trust
Boise
Franklin.
State's good. Well, yeah, I'd say yes, but the thing is, they're playing against Boise State, not Ohio State. I think Penn State, James Franklin has an Ohio State problem, not a good team problem.
See, I think I'm opposite. I think he has a good team problem in general, but I agree with you, and I hate it. I think they're going to win. I just don't think Boise State can compete, but I hope that Boise State does, because I don't want the committee to have a reason to keep some of these other schools out. Like BYU just went in there and thrashed Colorado. Thrashed them. Like, it wasn't even nice. They just slapped them up and down the field. Okay? So I don't want to see these teams pulled out of this, and I think if Boise State takes a big hit, it could set back these conferences or these smaller schools.
Here's the thing. I think Boise State just has a rough path. I think if Boise State was playing Texas, they have a chance.
Do you think, are you of the mind, a lot of people are pitching this idea that it should have just been seeded the top 12 teams?
Yeah.
And where they rack in the rankings is what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like college football playoff ranking should be
but
one.
But then the 5 conference champions get automatic qualifying. I mean, they automatically get in. So even if you're 16 seed, you're at least the 12 seed. You're not guaranteed a home game, but you at least get in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or you're not guaranteed a bye, but you at least get in.
Okay, so we're both on Penn State. I'm sad about it. I'm not happy about it, but that's where we exist right now. That's where our earth is. Not happy. Now let's move on to that other game, that Texas-Arizona State. And you're calling Arizona State and you're calling Scadaboo. And I think you just like saying Scadaboo. But
I do like saying Scadaboo, but he's also gonna make him scatter. He's gonna run all over that ass.
You don't like the 2 Texas running backs? Wise and Blue? I think they're great, man. I think
I mean, they're
Texas is
good.
big, strong, and scary. I think Sark is a really good coach.
No, dude. Just because he plays in, the only reason why people think he's good is because he was in the Nick Saban school for coaches who
So you
suck,
want to say Scadaboo so bad. You want to say Nick
and
Scadaboo.
he was in the Nick Saban school for coaches who suck, and he's on Texas. It's so easy to anybody could be good at Texas right now with NIL. There's a reason why the resurgence of Texas happened with NIL.
All right.
Because they got fat oil cats that are just throwing money left and right. Anybody can be a decent coach.
I have been on Texas all year. I'm not getting off this train. I'm going to take Texas again. And I'm going to say Quinn Ewers is finally going to step. I did this with Georgia too. I was wrong. They lost to Georgia. But I think Quinn Ewers is going to step up when he has to. And I think Texas takes out Arizona State. I do. I'm with the money.
I don't think they get it done with Quinn Ewers.
We'll see. Maybe they have Arch Manning next year, and the Raiders just lose to get the number 1 pick, and they draft Arch Manning, and I can forever have an Arch Manning. I will be a middle-aged man in an Arch Manning jersey, and I don't care. I do not care. I'm going to buy it because it's going to say Manning on the back. It's going to say Manning on the back, and it's going to be in silver and black. Okay. All right. Now let's go to
make your own jersey. Just custom order it.
Never do that. Let's go to Notre Dame, Georgia. I think Notre Dame wins this game. I do. I think Notre Dame takes them out. I don't like Gunnar Stockton. I don't like that. I don't think ETN's going to be enough. I think Georgia's going to have a sound defense. I think this is going to be the most boring game of the college football playoffs because I think it's now. I mean, boring for the fans. I think the hardcore people that love football are going to understand this is a chess match, and I think it's going to be all defense, baby. I think it's going to be all defense in this game.
I could see that. I could see a lot of defense, but I could just see some back and forth. But I gotta go with Notre Dame too. Georgia lost to Alabama. They were getting schooled by Alabama, and as we just saw, Alabama's not a good team. And I just think the SEC this year is down. I'm not even sure they're at least the second best conference. Might even take Big 12 over them, especially if Arizona State beats Texas.
I know you're loving this right now after what you said about Kirk Herbstreit last week. You know what the episode last week was titled? It was titled Enough with Kirk Herbstreit. It was titled Enough with Kirk Herbstreit. That's what I titled last week's episode.
Good.
Because you were right. And I started reading after that episode because I don't have time to watch ESPN like I do in the United States. Like the time zones are too jacked up for me to watch ESPN. So I'm taking your word for it.
Over them.
But then Twitter blew up with I think I sent you the tweet that somebody sent up with the Kirk Herbstreit, the tear flowing down every time an SEC team loses. Yeah. And that really is what it's been. And I think are you reveling in this, watching the SEC just get demolished?
Oh, I am. I'm like a pig rolling in shit.
Guess what? There are no SEC teams in our final matchup, Wes, but there is a duck.
Quack, quack.
We've got the Oregon Ducks against Ohio State. And man, Ryan Day is talking shit. It's passive shit. It's passive. It's, I don't think a 1-point loss should be a reason to judge the two teams. I think these are two really good teams. That's passive shit talking.
So it's kind of funny because Will Howard said, I don't think we've been beaten this year. We won a 1-point loss. We beat ourselves. And I'm like, you guys also lost to Michigan, or have you guys forgot about that loss? I feel like they keep acting like Oregon was their only loss this year, and they're kind of like trying to flush the Michigan loss like out of their heads. And I don't buy it. And everyone's sucking Ohio State off right now just because they blew out Tennessee. But I'm pretty sure anybody would have blown out Tennessee from the Big Ten. Penn State would have done the same. Oregon would have done the same. And I think Oregon gets it done in Pasadena.
I think Tennessee didn't play well. I don't think that's fair.
It's going to be a close game.
I think Tennessee didn't play well in that game. I do. I think Heupel didn't coach them up. I think they didn't execute. I think Tennessee's going to be a top 10 team again next year, everybody.
I can see that.
I think Tennessee is a hot team. They have a young quarterback. So I think be careful with Tennessee. But I want to see Oregon thrash Ohio State. I do. I want to see it. I want to see it bad. All right. So I'm going to go quack, quack. I don't care. I'm going to ride the train. I'm going to ride the pack. The pack is going to be back with Oregon. The pack is going to be back. Quack, quack, quack.
We're going to have 2 Pac-12 teams in the Final Four.
You're Arizona State. We will see. Wes, do you have any closing thoughts before we end today's episode?
Yeah, we lost Greg Gumbel. Greg Gumbel was always one of my favorites. Like, there's a lot of announcers that get on my nerves, but I always enjoyed listening to him. And then also Jimmy Carter, 100 years old, man. That is insane. Yeah. And he was the first one to bring a Super Bowl team to the White House. He started that tradition. So
by all accounts, he was a wonderful, super nice, amazing person.
He was a great guy.
With Greg Gumbel,
amazing.
Didn't Greg Gumbel have Real Sports on HBO too? Didn't he do Real Sports?
I think so.
And he did. He always, anytime somebody was talking, he had his little notepad and his glasses. He'd always take his glasses off and do this number with like the earpiece of the glasses, like right here. All right, that's what I remember. But 78 years, that's an amazing life. He did it all in sports. We thank you for joining us. Go ahead and close us out with a Go Ducks, Wes.
Quack, quack.
That was not a Go Ducks.